Ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to be a little bit serious because I've finally found a party that I think is at least worth a flutter on if you're living in an area where they are fielding a candidate. The SDP, if you haven't heard of them, I have followed them for a while because I'm a big fan of Rod Liddell, and I'm sure you guys know he is an amusing and extremely based journalist who is running up in Middlesbrough, so I do have a dog in this hunt and I'd like to see him get some traction. And after being contacted by one of my followers, who is an SDP candidate, putting all my cards on the table there, who's running, this fellow actually, David Bettany, who's running in South Yorkshire as mayor. I've had a good look at them and I like what they're offering. I know I've slagged off reform, but ultimately any protest vote is better than voting for Labour or Conservative at this point. And I think we've all resigned ourselves to the fact that Labour are obviously going to win, but it sets a precedent. And I can get the ball running on a party that isn't completely enthralled to Klaus Schwab and David Cameron and Tony Blair and everybody else is in on this evil globalist project to stomp your right into the deck whilst telling you what to think, what to eat and what you can laugh at. So if you're in South Yorkshire, check out David Bettany, and I do recommend you read through their website yourself because they spell it all out. And I think if you're a normal, reasonable, centrist libertarian type or even an old school conservative at this point, you'll like a lot of what they've got to say. Just some of the highlights from their own website. The SDP is a patriotic, economically left-leaning and culturally traditional political party, which is ultimately what I am, really. I'm not really a proper conservative. Idiots who don't know anything about anything insist that Thatcher was a far-right conservative. Thatcher was a libertarian. She was a liberal free marketeer. Anyone who's read any of the many biographies about her knows this. She spelled it out for us. And of course, the sort of old-school Bible-thumping conservative of the old right isn't really my cup of tea anyway, so I like what the SDP's got to say. They aren't self-loathing, which is good enough, isn't it? I mean, crikey, if we can at least get that, we've established something of a foothold. All of the policies are spelled out on the website. Of particular interest to anybody who's not a maniac, the policy pledges on immigration are to vigorously resist the idea of open borders and that our immigration policy must be skills-based, funny old thing, so it doesn't totally stitch up the working classes. And they'll also withdraw from the 1951 Refugee Convention, the ECHR, and all of the other international instruments that the humorless Teutonic megalomaniac and his ilk wish to use to ride roughshod over all of your rights. I don't like the fact that they've picked a number to reduce net migration by, because it sounds a bit like something the Tories would say. But they also want to promote a generation-long mass immigration pause in the interests of integration and social cohesion, which is exactly what we need to be doing. It's not far right, it's not unreasonable, it's just right. They also want to put a bit of effort into stopping sham marriages, which we all know are 10 a penny these days, judging by the amount of cousin shagging that seems to go on in Bradford. The policy pledges on crime and common law are excellent as well, pointing out that common law is the bedrock of our legal system and it needs to be rigorously imposed and defended. A pledge to make sure the courts actually deal with criminals in a speedy manner rather than leaving them to wander the streets fingering old ladies for 2 or 3 years before they ever see the inside of a courtroom. And something I really like, I've always been a proponent of the broken windows policy because it worked. It was used by Giuliani to great effect in New York City, and they have said graffiti, vandalism, antisocial behaviour, all those little things that always end up rolling into big things will not be tolerated, and they will clamp down with exemplary, visible community service for the horrible glue-sniffing chavs that do it up. So, I'm going to leave a link in the description. Please check them out. Have a look at David's profile and his policies and the policies of the SDP. And if you are in an area, Middlesbrough, definitely Middlesbrough, and plenty more, where they are running a candidate, consider having a look at them, because at the end of the day, how much worse can it get? So have a look, check them out and see what you think. As always, thanks for watching. If you disagree, feel free to tell me why you hate the SDP in the comments, and we can have an argument down there, alright? You tell me why that clueless boss-eyed soy boy, Mr. Tice, who seems to live at the whims of Hope Not Hate, a commie activist group, you tell me why he is offering a better option than the SDP, because I really do want to know. Anyway, that's just what I think. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Cheers.